Okay, so welcome to the video today. What we're going to do is swap out a BOSE audio system on a Mazda MX5 Mk3, it's a 2007 model. And as you can see, it's a UK spec model right-hand drive, because a number of the videos that I've seen online tend to be the left-hand drive model. So the first step is that we need to remove the bits of fascia that cover here. So I've already done this. So here is the piece that was already on. So you can see here, this came from just down here. It's quite simple to take off. You have to just push either a fascia removal tool or a small screwdriver into this area here. Now what I did was I got this screwdriver, which as you can see is quite small. At the time I had some red tape that I just wrapped around the edge just to stop it from doing any damage, and then I inserted the screwdriver very gently just at the bottom there and pulled out. You pull towards you. Just get the torch on that, it's not really good. So that's better. So I went in just slightly underneath, twisted, pulled out. It then came out around about ½ centimetre just at the bottom. And just to avoid doing any damage at that point, what I did was I just got 2 fingers behind it and you pull it this way. You didn't have to put a lot of pressure on, I just gently prised it open and it comes away. Same on the other side, so you can see I've already taken this one off. But exactly the same, little screwdriver just at the bottom there, then a couple of fingers can get in and you just pull it forward towards you. So once you've taken these 2 panels off, the next step is to just take out the 2 screws that they're hiding. So just bear with me. So what you will see, if I can just get this lined up, is there on both sides there's a screw. This screw's been taken out already, I've just taken it out. Same on the other side. You take out those 2 screws just to give you an indication as to what the screw type is. You can see there Phillips screws. You'll find 2 of those in those side panels. So after I've taken off this panel here and this panel here and taken the 2 screws out, on some of the American videos it then suggests that you have to go under here, under the steering column, pop the panel out here, which just pulls down. It's quite easy to do, and then you go in from the side up here and you find a screw, and the screw is meant to be to the right of these bolts you see here. So if you have a look up here, there's no screw. In fact, you can't actually get to the head unit through the eggs of all the pipes, etc. So I figured at that point, okay, maybe what I needed to do was, on the left hand side, was drop the glove box off and go in from the left side here into the side of the audio system to find this screw. So I took the glove box off. I'm not going to show you how to do that because it's a pointless exercise, because you don't actually need to do it, so I wasted my time. Because when I went in there, I couldn't see a screw. So we then came back to the main head unit here. If you pulled on both sides simultaneously, so on that side at the bottom and this side at the bottom, this was moving, but it wasn't coming out at the top. So I didn't want to force it, because I thought maybe there is a screw. But having gone into that side and that side and not found any kind of screw, I decided to just see if I just kept putting a little bit of pressure on whether it would come out. So all I did was the hand on either side and just kept moving it side to side, and it just popped out at the top. So as you can see, this is now loose. There is no screw on either side holding it in. It is simply the screw on this side and the screw on this side. So we've now got a loose head unit, and I've now got to just work out how this is going to come out, because at the minute it's coming so far and then the cables are holding it in. So I'll be back in a second. So the head unit is now further out, as you can see from the top here. All I did was move it gently from side to side. Clearly what's happening is some of the cables at the back here are starting to loosen up, and the unit is now reasonably out, so I can now start to get my hand down the back here and get to start to do some disconnecting. So having pulled the unit as far out as it seemed to want to come and just twisting it to right, you notice I've just got a cloth down here to protect the centre column there. You can now see, we can start to see the connectors. So we can see some connectors down the back here, and we've got this connector here. These, I believe, are relatively straightforward to take off. So let me just have a go, because whenever these things are meant to be straightforward, they never actually are. Okay, two-hand job, just back in a second. So we've just taken the connector off the aircon, which just slotted in there. That was one of those ones, you know, when you're swearing a lot and you therefore don't want to video it. Now, all it actually is just on the top here. You just have to press down on a little tab. It's in the middle at the top, so it's kind of a squeeze your thumb in and just push down and gently pull the thing out. It's a lot easier to do when you realise where the little tab is, rather than messing around as I was. So that bit's now off, so now we should be able to take the other connectors out. So I've now pulled the connectors out of the back of the head unit. So on the left hand side here was where the aerial was, that just pulled out. Then next to that was this white connector. This one was this way around and had a little tab thing on the top there to press down. So just press down in the middle of the top and that came out fairly easily. This one, this was on the far side over here. I ended up having to take the head unit and twist it to the left to try and get my hand underneath. This one, you can see the little tab is here underneath. This one took a few minutes to get off, and again some more swearing. So the aerial was easy, this little white one was easy. This other one a bit harder, because you actually are trying to put some pressure on underneath here on the tab, but eventually it came off. So far that's been the hardest bit I've had to deal with, just because it hurt my fingers. Okay, next step. So just before I go and unpack the new head unit and start to install it, I thought it's worth me showing people inside this bay, just because it can be easier to know what you're looking at when you're working on something. So like I say, this is a right hand drive Mazda. On the left here you can see there is nowhere for a screw. So when I took the glove box off to try and find a screw, because I thought the screw might be on this side, because on the US cars it looks like they're coming from this side. There is nowhere for a screw, so there's definitely not a screw there. On this side here, you can see the bar, the metal bar there, which on some of the US videos, that looks like where there's a screw, although that bar is on this side of the vehicle from what I can see. Now in this UK car there was no screw, and I'll be honest, I don't know how you'd even get to a screw, because if you look behind here, there's all these pipes and stuff, so I'm guessing they didn't attach that screw on some of these vehicles. But if your head unit is not coming out at the top, and it really isn't, then even on the UK car the potential is there's a screw there, but I think that's unlikely. But if it was, you'd have to go in underneath here. So I'm just going to show me the torch behind the back. You can see you'd have to come in from the side here underneath, but I'm fairly sure you're not going to have to do that. So having got the head unit out, I'm now going to see about putting the fitting kit in. I'm going to put a link on this video where I bought this kit from. It was not cheap, it was about 75 quid. It is meant to include all of the bits that you need, so wiring loom. When you buy the kit, you tell it, the supplier, which head unit, so this happens to be a JVC lead because that's the head unit I wanted to put in. And then this is the fascia unit, which I'll get out shortly. Now, because I actually bought this because I wanted DAB radio, I've ordered my backstop, which is a screen windscreen fit antenna. I've had these before, they're not generally brilliant, so that's one option. But I've also got an antenna off another car, which is a mag mount. Now the problem is where to mag mount it so that hopefully I don't see too much in the way of cables and fitting. So first of all, we're going to see about trying to at least get the head unit in and sort of operational before I start worrying about how to cable in the antenna. So I'll do a bit of unpacking and then I'll be back in a second. So this is just showing you, this is the original BOSE head unit out of the vehicle, and on the back here this is the AC control unit with these 4 screws. So I'm just going to undo those 4 screws and take this unit off, because then I'm meant to attach it to this. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, so we can see there I've put the AC control unit and I've mounted it into the new fascia. These are the original 4 screws that came off the original head unit. Just a note of caution, these mountings here are quite tight. Use the right screwdriver for these screw types. I just check it against a number of the bits that you've got and make sure it's a snug fit, because they're quite tight to turn in. And initially I started to use this screwdriver, which is quite bulky at the end, and it felt like it was quite easily going to thread them, so I changed to this one. But just be careful, because you need a right fit, and just take it slow and applying a reasonable amount of pressure, but just slowly, so you don't thread these heads of these screws as you're putting them in, because like I say, it's quite a tight fit. Okay, so I thought just before I go and put the clips on the head unit, I'll just show you. So I've just put the fascia in. You'll see here I haven't pushed this all the way in yet. I've just put it on just to see if it starts to look like it fits snug and to make sure things look okay. So far so good. seems to be okay. Looks like it's going to fit alright, but I haven't yet done the big push and click, because I'm just going to say that once I just want to make sure that the new head unit powers up and works okay and get the wiring in right before I start snapping everything together. So, having followed this instruction and put the AC unit on, which I've done, I'm now here and I'm fixing these brackets to the side. It implies here 2 screws, and it says in the instructions they come with your head units, your new one, which mine has. It's difficult to see from the picture, so I believe I've done it the right way with this thicker edge on the outside. I had enough to put 4 screws in. The picture kind of implies 2, but hey, we had enough to do 4 on the other side. So I'm now going to go and see about just putting the wires in and see whether this head unit actually turns on. Okay, so it's been a while trying to work out how to wire this up with this kit that I got, because the instructions, as with many things, miss out 1 or 2 important things. So this head unit, the aftermarket one, is a JVC, and if you look at the this is the wiring loom that comes with the head unit itself, and here is the blue and white cable that sends power to either an amp or to an electric aerial. So effectively it tells something that the head unit's been turned on. What I found with this kit was, for the MX5, in the stock unit here, this connector, if you see the little one just above the pen there, that pin there, that one is for the antenna control. Even though we have an antenna, so it has to be a powered antenna. The one next to it, so the power antenna is the little pin just on the right there. The next one in is the control unit for the amp. And the problem I hadn't spotted until I traced back the wires was the blue and white here turns into a blue on the control on this loom, and the blue comes into this aftermarket unit and it connects to the power antenna there. What the blue doesn't do is connect to the power amp there. Now the lead that does connect to the power amp is this blue and white one here. So I got myself confused with blue and white wires here. So the blue and white coming out from the head unit needs to go to both the blue wire and the blue and white wire, so that it's powering both the antenna but also turning the amp on this BOSE system. So what you can see I've done here to test it is I've just pushed a little black wire into that blue one, and I've joined it temporarily to the blue and white one, and I've just tested it and that works. If you do not join this blue and white wire to this blue one here, or attach it back to the blue and white one here, you will not get any sound because the amp is not turned on. Very simple when you know what you're doing. Clearly not very simple for me, because I've been trying to work that out for a long time, reading lots of stuff on the internet. So the wiring kit that I've got, that I'm going to put the link on to this video, all connects up fine, except they don't give you any instructions that says you need to make sure this blue and white wire here is split to join both the blue wire and the blue and white wire. That's all you have to do, and then the speakers will work. Just to finish off, so this red connector here just pushes into there, that's fine. It joins into the, this is the wiring loom that came with the JVC head unit, so it just clips into there, that's fine. And then the only other bit is you have this little control unit for the stalk controls. There are two connectors on this, one of which is like an audio jack, and the other one is a wire. Seemingly it depends on your new head unit which one of these you use. In my case, you can see here this JVC has got steering wheel remote control, and it's a wire, so effectively that just has to be joined with that, which I will do shortly. So everything was fine, just had to realise that you've got to connect that remote control input into this brown wire here that goes back to this little control unit for the remote stalk, and I needed to understand that you have to split the blue and white wire to be both blue and blue and white. It is actually already connected to the blue, you just have to take a piece off and connect it into the blue and white. So I'm going to sort this out, tidy it up properly, but I've just put the unit on and it's working fine. So the other thing I just forgot to mention was in the aftermarket kit that you get this, and this I believe is a volume reducer, because one of the things you'll read on the web is that because we've got an amp, we need to reduce the volume levels coming through the speakers here as they go into the amp. Now they give you this, which looks like it does that, and in the instructions there's the picture of this and it calls it a volume reducer, but you cannot connect it, because on this JVC unit the single connector there comes out and becomes a single connector here. So if I just, bear with me a second, okay, so I just disconnected those two, so this is the standard stock unit here. So you can't put this in line because this would have to go into here, like so. So that would go into there, and then the other end here is meant to go into the aftermarket unit here. If you do that, you can't then connect this piece into this piece. So you can't actually, with this particular standard loom that's come with this JVC, put in this volume reducing cable. So that's a bit frustrating, so I was thinking about going and buying a replacement for this, because you can get them where you can get the cables like this, but instead of coming into a single fixed unit like this, they split into two separate ones. That would then allow me to put this volume reducer in. Now, having said that, I looked at the head unit, and it's actually got a setting where I can reduce the output volume from the settings, so I'm not going to bother. I'm guessing I might get some comments that tells me I should bother, but I'm not going to bother with that. I'm just going to connect this up. If I have problems, I can always come back and do that at a future date. So apart from this blue wire connection bit here, and the fact that the volume reducing cable is a bit confusing, I think I'm okay. What would have been nice is some instructions that told me this when I bought the accessory. So we're in the final stages now of getting this thing put in. I thought I'd followed the instructions that came with this fascia kit and this mounting bracket. Clearly didn't, because I attached this bracket first to the unit, thinking that what you did was you put the fascia in, attach these brackets, and then pushed the head unit in. You don't do that. You take the keep the fascia off. You attach these two brackets, one on either side, to the fascia first without putting the head unit in. All they do is they just push on here. It's dead easy. You can see how you do it. And then you put the head unit in and you screw it. So effectively, just like the original head unit, you've actually attached the audio system to the fascia before you push the whole thing in. So this now, with a bit of help, we'll just push it. So I'm now going to put that in properly. Effectively what holds it in is the two original screws that are on either side. I've already had it in and fitted it. The main challenge I faced with this particular thing was just lining the front fascia so it's flat. So you just use these screws on either side to just adjust the unit, and just to make sure that I could get this to be sort of even and flush, because at one point it was uneven because it was screwed in slightly differently. So there we go. So I'm going to push that back in. The this particular unit comes with a microphone. I've mounted the microphone here because in the Mazda it gets so loud inside the kind of passenger compartment. I've put that there. The wire easily then just pushes in just underneath there, and then it comes down the side. It's dead easy, and then I've just routed it underneath there and back in through the side. This is a DAB unit, so on this side I've taken the DAB aerial wire up. I haven't actually put it in yet, but I'm just going to tuck it in the side of here, bring it up here, and as you can see, this, I think as I mentioned before, this particular one is a window mount, because I don't want to take a wire outside the vehicle and put like a mag mount on, so I'm going to try the window mount one first. I did check it just like this, and I did get a DAB signal, so it's probably not going to be brilliant, but it'll be sufficient. So I'm going to now just finish this off and push this in, put the two screws in, and then just start to put the bits of fascia back on. So the final bit really is just to clarify what it is that I've used here. So this was a JVC unit. It's a fairly low end one. I think it was like £150, something like that. I've used the Scotch fascia, so that's the code. Then I bought the kit that came then with the adapter for the Mazda MX5, so this is a Connect 2 adapter, so that's the code for it. And then because it's a JVC, it came with a JVC lead, and again that came from Connect 2. And that's all the bits. So the only thing, as I think mentioned earlier, was this particular cabling kit. It implies that you don't have to make any modifications, and it just works, and it does not. And earlier on in the video I showed you that you just have to connect the outcoming blue and white wire from this new head unit to both the blue and the blue and white wire on this cable, so you get power to the amp as well as power to the antenna. Okay, and that's it. So just to finish off, there is the units in and working. I put the DAB aerial there, took this A pillar off, just easy to do. You just have to take these two bolts out to pull this off, and then you can pull the A-frame down just by putting your fingers here and gently pulling down. It's got a clip here and another clip here, and then it isn't clipped at the bottom, it just slots in. So when you put it back in, you just have to make sure you just push it into the slot so you don't end up with a gap here. And you push back in here. So that was fairly easy to do once I remember to take that off. The dab aerial is therefore hidden behind here, but actually it's quite easy because it's behind the glove box in here, so I can get to that wire if I need to, but you can't see it. Okay, thank you.